Hey guys, Dark Prometheus here with another episode of Front Office Football 7. So we're in the last 2 weeks of the season, essentially. Got a lot of injuries right now, so you go through a lot of questionables, got a couple of probables, a lot of outs. We've lost Ferguson, uh, just just horribly. Ferguson's right here. We have lost him. Kyle Fuller stepped up good the past couple of games, though. Best downfield receivers. Brandon Marshall is one of them. Wow, A.J. Jenkins is one. Wow, that's weird. Eddie Royal, Sammy Watkins, Calvin Johnson, Eric Decker. That's kind of weird. Okay, so we do know that we are in the first wild card right now. Uh, so let me see here. Lamar Houston's now at 11 sacks. 2 by Bostic, 2 by Mundy. Fuller's got 4 interceptions. Bennett's got 8 touchdowns. Jeffrey's got 6 touchdowns now. He's been having big games. 7 rushing touchdowns by Forte. 3 by Cutler. Kendall Hunter hasn't had a lot. Carries right there. Actually, we do have to fix one thing. So offensive backfield. So this is going to be Carey. This is going to be Hunter, yeah. So in case Chandron goes down, a certain pass, Hunter, Carey. Is Carey or Hunter a good catcher? I actually think it's Carey is actually doing better. In case we need another blocker, we're going to go like this. So, third sort this. Okay. Looking at what we have. All right. So let's do this. Detroit's 5-9. They still have a better quarterback, obviously. We have a better running back, receiver, offensive line. They have a better defensive line. Linebackers are the same, so we all know all this stuff. Nothing big. Let's look at scouting report. Mathis is still questionable. He is actually going to still play. Sims is still out. Tulk is still out. Jed Collins isn't going to be playing, so it's going to be Tyron Witt. Cassius Vaughn is doubtful. He's not going to play. Tate's probable, so he'll probably be playing in that third receiver slot. Slay is probable, and Bridges is probable, but we're not going to see Bridges. He's like the 4th linebacker on the team, or fourth running back. So let's see how this works. So we got the ball this time. So Cutler scrambles for 4 yards. There's Cutler scrambling again for 8 yards this time, a first down. There's Forte for a loss of 4. And there's an incomplete pass to Alshon Jeffrey. Here's an incomplete pass to Bennett, so it's going to be kicked back to Detroit. There's Stafford to Bush for 1 yard. There's Bush making a reception for 6 yards, 3rd and 3. Bush gets 10 yards there, a first down. Drake Bell gets 4 yards. Here's Bush for 9 yards. And here's Bush for 5 yards. 3rd and 1. Bush gets 7 yards. Reggie Bush again for 5 yards. They're just giving his ball to Bush. There's 4 for 2 yards. 3rd and 3. Bush only gets 1 yard. 1 yard and it's short, so they're going to kick a field goal. So Chicago here. Cutler is sacked by Ezekiel Anza. There's Miller catching it for 5 yards. 3rd and 8. Martellus Bennett for 11 yards for the first down. So here's Sean John off the tackle for 5 yards. Here's Forte losing 4 yards on the rush. Here the pass is incomplete. But there's a penalty on the return, so it's going to bring back Detroit. There's a pass incomplete. There's one to Tate for 38 yards on first down. So there's one to Johnson for 3 yards. There's Bush for 2 yards. 3rd and 5. George Bell gets 4. He's short. It's going to be punted. So here's one to Matt Forte for 5 yards. Trying to get out of that trap. And there's Alshon Jeffrey. He gets some running room for 19 yards. Here's one to Kadeem Carey, thrown for 17 yards. Here's Matt Forte, is stopped for no gain. 2nd and 10 here. Forte for 3 yards. 3rd and 7. And Alshon Jeffrey gets it for 9 yards on a first down. So here's one to Zach Miller for 12 yards. Here's one to Brandon Marshall, getting 33 yards and a touchdown. Chicago's up 7-3. We're fighting for the playoff. There's Joique Bell for 3 yards. There's Bush for 3 yards. 3rd and 4. There's Johnson for 8 yards and a first down. Here's Reggie Bush on the side for 9 yards. There is Reggie Bush losing 4 there. 3rd and 5. Johnson catches 12-yard pass for the first down. So there's Johnson for a 9-yard catch there. There's Bell for 6 yards. There's Bell for 4 yards. 2nd and 6. Bush breaks a 12-yard run. So they're on the 18. There's Chris Conte making a play on the ball. There's Bush in the secondary, though, next play for 11 yards. First and goal. There's one to Joique Bell for 4 yards. There's Stanford rushing for 8, and Foria finished off the drive on 3rd and 5. Forte for 1 yard there. And then here's Brandon Marshall catching one for 15 yards. There's one to Bennett. Loses 1 yard, though. There's Brandon Marshall for 11 yards and a first down. So here's another one to Marshall, but he's pressured. Here's one to Holmes. Gets a 12-yard pass. And that one is overthrown. There's San Antonio Holmes. Catches the pass for 11 yards. Now under 2 minutes. There's Bennett for a 9-yard pass on the 21. There's Miller for a 15-yard reception. And on the 6th there, and Jeffrey catches his 9th touchdown of the season there for a 6-yard touchdown pass. So there's a gain of 8, and there's a run by Reggie Bush of 3, but it's not going to be much of anything there. So we're going to see Detroit come out after the half. There's a 2-yard loss after the 3-yard gain. Foria loses another yard, and it's going to be kicked back to Chicago. So there's Cutler to Marshall for 4 yards. Marshall there for a 10-yard reception. Kadeem Carey rushes for 7 yards there. And we see Kadeem Carey come out again for a 4-yard gain for first down. There's Forte with a 15-yard gain. Carey runs for 4 yards. The Chicago Bears are coming out big. There's Forte for 6 yards. They want this playoff spot here. There's Sean John for 28 yards. There's one for 4 yards. But there's a penalty, and so it's 2nd and 18 at 2-yard gain. There's a draw for 8 yards, and Marquise Williamson can't do anything, but it's defensive holding, so it's going to give the Bears a first down. Sean John loses 3. 2nd and 8 on the 8. There's an incomplete pass. 3rd and 8 on the 8. There's Forte headed in for a touchdown, and that's going to be a 21-10 game, Chicago. There's Stanford to Johnson for an 8-yard reception. There's one to Bush, but he stopped for no gain. There's Ebron. He gets 3 yards, so it's going to be a first down. There's Bush getting the catch and faking out the defender for 16 yards. There's Johnson off a 10-yard reception. And here's Bush with a no gain on there. There's Corey Fuller with a good catch for 13 yards. Joique Bell actually losing 1 yard there in the reception. And there is going to be a penalty. So that's going to bring it back 5 yards. But there's Bush for 11 yards. And that last pass isn't going to be complete, so he's actually going to kick a field goal and miss it. There's Forte for 3 yards. There's Kadeem Carey losing another 3. But there's going to be a penalty there. That's going to give the Bears a first down. There's 5 yards, and there's 3 yards by Bennett. There's Sean John going for 8 yards on a first down. Matt Forte goes for 1 yard. And here is a pass flip, but it's incomplete. And there's Cutler scrambling for 10 yards on first down. There's Zach Miller, but he gets a 2 yard loss, but it's going to be a penalty, so it's going to redo down. There's a ball that goes nowhere. There's a scramble by Cutler for 12 yards. Here's Marshall catching a pass for 4 yards. Here's Forte, 6 yards and a touchdown. 28-13. We're really putting it on them today. So Bush gets 4. That's in double coverage and knocked down. And that one is knocked down as well. So here's Cutler giving it to carry for 1 yard. And here's another one for carry for 9 yards and a first down. 8 minutes to play. There's Jeffrey with a 5-yard pass. There's Forte losing 6 on the end around. There's Kendall Hunter getting the what? Forte lost and more with 12-yard first down. There's Hunter for no gain. There's Forte for 5 yards. 3rd and 5. 4 minutes left. Carry a stop for no gain. It's going to be kicked for a field goal by Robbie Gould. And so here comes Stanford. And there's an incomplete pass. And that one is in double coverage and incomplete. And here's one to Corey Fuller. He gets 4 yards. 4th and 6. Stanford's going to come out. He's going to give it to Fuller again for 5 yards. And he's going to be short. Kendall Hunter loses 2 as the Bears try to get the clock down. There's 3 yards, 3rd and 9. And here's one for Kendall Hunter again for 4 yards. Going to give it back to Detroit with 2:18 left. And there's an intentional grounding by Detroit, so the loss of down. And that's going to be another. Doesn't go anywhere. But there's an 18-yard gain. He's going to lose yards there, and that's going to be incomplete. And Chicago is going to pull it out again as they run the clock down with 2 runs and a knee. So that's going to be it. Chicago wins 31-13. We're really showing up in these late games this season. We might actually end up with a 10-16. We keep on playing like this. We're red hot right now. So Brandon Marshall, 33-yard pass. Prater had a field goal before that. Fourier got a pass. Jeffrey had his 9th touchdown of the season. Forte had a run. Prater, then Forte had a run, and then that's it. We actually did a good job spraying the ball around. Forte, 15 carries for 49 yards. Kadeem carried 22 off 8. Hunter had 15 yards off 6. Sean John had 38 off 4. So Reggie Bush had 62 off 17. So we kept him pretty much in check. Forte did have 2 touchdowns. So here's Stanford, 22 of 28, 168 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Cutler, 23 of 30, 215, 2 touchdowns. So here's Marshall, 77 yards, 1 touchdown. Alshon Jeffrey, 39 yards, 1 touchdown. Their touchdown is for their tight end. He had 3 catches for 6 yards. One of those was like a 5-yard catch. So no interceptions, no fumbles. Pretty poor defensive game. It was stop, 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 stop. No turnovers. We had a couple sacks. We had none. They had one. So Ezekiel Lanza had 1 half. Devin Taylor had the other. So we had a lot of hurries, had a lot of knocks. Lance Briggs, Houston, Dixon, Tillman, Conti all had pass defense. So Garza gave up that sack, technically. So Marshall's now over 100%. Mundy is now 100%. So Ahmad Dixon's going to go down. Tillman is probably going to play 1 more week like this. Shea is going to play 1 more week like this. Sutton is out. We're going to look at the standings, see if we have to play Jared Allen. Otherwise, we're going to hold him out. Long's going to come out. Ola's going to play. Let's look at the full standings. So Green Bay is 12-13. So the Packers and Giants will be fighting for the first seed. we are 9-6. New Orleans, we hold a tiebreaker over New Orleans. San Francisco holds a tiebreaker over us. So if we lose, actually, yeah, it doesn't matter because we will actually win. So you're being held out. Tillman's being held out. Um, Dixon, you're gonna come in like this. So he'll come back. He'll be good. He'll be out still. He's out for the season. Um, I might hold Shea. I might hold Shea out on purpose. Bring in Josh Bellamy. So we got this. Offensive line, we're good. Base defense. We're gonna put Butler there. We're gonna put Jennings. We're gonna put Butler here, right? No, we're gonna put McManus. Then Butler. Here is gonna be Dixon. Nope, this one's gonna be Mundy. This is gonna be Vereen. This is gonna be Dixon. Jones. Okay, that's good. That's good. This one is going to be Jennings. Nope, this one's going to be McManus. This is Jennings. This is going to be McManus. This is going to be Mundy. Dime is going to be, this is going to be Jennings. This can be McManus. This is going to be Butler. This is going to be Mundy. Do I want him? Or Vereen? You know what? I'm going to put Malcolm Butler in. Willie Young's unhappy. Wow. Okay, scouting report. Greenway still out, I think. Yep. Lidholt's going to play, though. Xavier Rhodes going to play. Sharif Floyd's out, so that's going to be Nolan Wilcox. So, let's get in this game. Zach Miller's down. A backup tight end. So Minnesota's got the ball first. That's Patterson for 7 yards. Ponder's the starting quarterback still. There's Peterson for 11. Stoker for 9. Greg Jennings for 19 yards. Peterson for 5. Stoker for a loss of 2. 3rd and 7. Rudolph has a 22-yard touchdown from Christian Ponder. So here's Marshall dropping a pass, but it's pass interference on Marshall, so it's going to come back. There's Cutler to Jeffrey for a 46-yard reception, but they're going to be a penalty. But here's Marshall on the next play for 20 yards. There's Forte losing 2. Here's one to Marshall for 13 yards, 1st and 10. 19. Kadeem Carey loses 1 yard. And here's Kadeem Carey getting that 1 yard and one more. 3rd and 9. Jeffrey catches a pass for 6 yards. It's short, so it's going to be a kick by Robbie Gold, and it's good. 3 yards for the Bears. There's Wright for 19 yards. Well, it's 7-3. Vikings. There's Stoker for 8 yards on the carry. Here's Peterson for 15 yards after the false start. There's Peterson for 2 yards. 2nd and 8. There's Peterson getting a reception for 21 yards. There. Stoker gets an 8 yard, but then here's a false start. Here's Stoker for 1 yard. Stoker catches a pass for 11 yards. 1st and 8, and Patterson catches a touchdown pass there. So Cutler to Forte has 9 yards. Here's Forte with 1 yard, 3rd and 2. Jeffrey gets 4 yards there. And that's the end of the first quarter. There's Forte for 9 yards. There's Kadeem Carey getting 1 yard. 1st and 10. Forte gets 2 yards there. There's Marshall catching the pass for 3 yards. Here's a sack on Cutler, so it's going to make it. There's a fumble on the play, but it's still recovered by Minnesota. Peterson gets 3 on the rush there. Peterson has a 10-yard rush immediately right after that. Kyle Rudolph makes a 4-yard catch. Peterson actually only gets 3 there. And Peterson gets the 3 yards to just get the first down. There's Peterson a catch for 9 yards. And here's another catch by Peterson for 7 yards. Here's a catch by Wright for no gain. Here's one to Peterson for 21 yards. Here's one to Kyle Rudolph, 12 yards and a touchdown. That's Kyle Rudolph's 2nd touchdown. So Martellus Bennett catches one for 9 yards, loses the ball, but Brandon Marshall scoops it back up. Forte gets 1 yard and a first down. And here's Alshon Jeffrey for 3 yards. Martellus Bennett's injured on the play. So Forte gets 11 yards there. Hopefully it's not big because we've lost both of our tight ends. There's Jeffrey off a 14-yard play. That one goes nowhere. Holmes catches a 23-yard pass for the first down. There's Brandon Marshall. That one falls incomplete, though. That one's to Wilson for 19 yards and a touchdown. So the Bears finally score in the second quarter. There's Stoker for 13 yards. There's Peterson in the secondary for 9 yards. Here's Kyle Rudolph for 12 yards. Here's a bomb to Cordell Patterson, and it's a 46-yard touchdown. 28-10 Vikings. So that one's incomplete. Matt Forte has 10 yards and a first down with 1:12 left. There's Forte for 7 yards. Oh my God. Jordan Mills just had a career-threatening injury. We may have lost Jordan Mills. So Antonio Holmes, it's a big... Wow. We are in shock now. We just lost what potentially could be our starting tackle in his rookie season. There's Jeffrey for 45 yards. Forte has a 9-yard gain there. There is Forte off to the races for a 20-yard gain. There's Brandon Marshall making a 5-yard play on the 1-yard line. Kadeem Carey gets his first touchdown of his career. 2-point conversion is not complete, so it's going to be 28-16. Christian Ponder to Peterson again for 3 yards. 3rd one, Peterson gets 2 yards there. Peterson gets 14 yards there on that rush. And there's Goodwin, caught the pass for 8 yards. And here's another Peterson run there. Bostic is down. Wow. Pearson loses 6 yards there. Kyle Rudolph gets 5 yards. Jarius Wright catches 14 yards on first down. 1st and 3. Pearson gets a touchdown. This game can't end enough. There's Marshall with 19 yards. There's another one to Marshall for 11 yards. There's one to San Antonio Holmes, but it's not complete. Here's one to Brandon Marshall for 3 yards. Here's another one to Marshall for 9 yards. Here's Tim Jennings intercepting the pass there. There's Jeffrey for 3 yards. There's Cutler to Brandon Marshall, but it's tipped. Jeffrey, there's a failed completion, and there's a field goal. Christian Ponder giving it to Peterson for 5 yards. Peterson gets another 6 yards. Offsides was declined. Stoker gets 8 yards there. It's offsides though. It's going to take the 5 yards. Stoker gets 2. Legal use of the hands by Minnesota. That's going to be brought back. Kyle Rudolph gets 17 yards there for the first down. Stoker there gets 11 yards. And it's a penalty on the Bears. There's a 2-yard gain. There's Jennings with 3 yards. So we're going in the fourth quarter. Wright gets a 10-yard gain there. Peterson gets 2 yards off the rush. Peterson goes 1 yard there. There's a pass to Peterson for 12 yards. And that was tipped and intercepted, I think, by Kyle Fuller. There's a sack on Jay Cutler. There's one to Santonio Holmes for 26 yards. Here's Cutler avoiding the rush. Gets 6 yards. A couple penalties there. Marshall for the 2-yard grab. Another penalty. Jeffrey getting a 32-yard play there. There's a sack on Cutler. There's a 21-yard run by Forte. Carey gets an 8-yard rush there. It's on the 3. Forte loses 3 yards, 3rd and 5. Cutler caught by Forte on the 4, stopped on the 2. And there's Jeffrey for the 2-yard catch and a touchdown. It's a 10-point game. Pearson gets 11 yards there. I think Bostic is back in the game. Okay, good. We have not lost Jonathan Bostic. Peterson gets 5 yards there. Peterson gets 1 yard. Timeout's called. 3rd and 4. No gain. Timeout called. And there's another field goal by Minnesota. 13-point game. Here's Marshall for 10 yards. Hit the 2-minute warning. There's Marshall for 26 yards. Cutler's trying to get something going. There's Jeffrey, but it's incomplete. Here's a throw to Wilson for 23 yards. Here's one to Brandon Marshall for 19 yards and a touchdown. There's a mad scramble of the ball, so the onside kick is recovered by Minnesota. That's going to be a kneel, and that's it. So really, it's a scrub game. I mean, 2 interceptions. Cutler had a decent game. Done a lot. Forte's there. Brendan Marshall. Jeffrey had big games. Interceptions. Kyle Fuller again. Tim Jennings. Forced a fumble. De La Puente. Must have been on special teams or something. Sacks. Prater, Robinson, Everson Griffin, Anthony Barr, Xavier Rhodes. So Conti had our only one. So, see how bad this is. Tillman's 100%. Kyle Logg's 100%. Sprained knee. So maybe we didn't make the playoffs. How did we not make the playoffs? Did I miss something? Did we lose to Minnesota? What the? Doesn't make sense. Oh, it goes by entire conference. So we didn't make the playoffs. It doesn't matter. Oh my lord. What? God, please help me. So our right tackle, Jordan Mills, is not out next season, but he's out the following season. Wow. Straight hamstring. So I guess in the next episode, we're going to go all the way to the playoffs. We're going to the end of the season, and we're going to start looking at the draft class in the next episode. So go ahead and stay tuned. I'm recording all these back to back, and we're going to do the draft episode there. So thanks for watching. Later, guys.